Neil Diamond heard this family was losing their home, and what he mailed them shocked everyone. What happened next brought the entire nation to tears. Leave your comments below if you believe in the power of kindness. This incredible story happened in Pennsylvania in 2019 and will restore your faith in humanity. It was October 2019 in the small town of Willow Creek, Pennsylvania, a quiet community of about 5,000 people nestled in the rolling hills of Lancaster County. The town was the kind of place where everyone knew everyone, where neighbors helped neighbors, and where the local diner was the social hub of the entire community. In a modest two-story house on Maple Street lived the Richardson family. Tom Richardson, his wife Sarah, and their 3 children, Emily, who was 12, Jacob, who was 9, and little Sophie, who was just 5 years old. Tom worked as a mechanic at the local auto repair shop, earning $45,000 a year. Sarah was a part-time elementary school teacher's aide, bringing in an additional $15,000 annually. The Richardson family had lived in that house for 15 years, ever since Emily was born. They had bought it with a modest down payment and a 30-year mortgage. It wasn't much. 3 bedrooms, 1.5 bathrooms, a small kitchen and a living room where the family gathered every evening. But it was home. The walls were filled with family photos. The backyard had a tire swing that Tom had hung himself, and Sophie's height markers were penciled on the doorframe of the kitchen. Everything changed on a cold morning in March 2019 when Tom was working under a car at the shop. A hydraulic lift malfunctioned catastrophically. The car fell, crushing Tom's legs and causing severe spinal injuries. He was rushed to Lancaster General Hospital where doctors performed emergency surgery. Tom survived, but the damage was extensive. Both legs were broken in multiple places, 3 vertebrae were fractured, and there was nerve damage that would require months of physical therapy. The doctors were honest. Tom might walk again, but he would never work as a mechanic again. The physical demands of the job were simply beyond what his damaged body could handle. "Mr. Richardson," said Dr. Morrison, the orthopedic surgeon, "you're lucky to be alive, but I won't lie to you. Your working days as a mechanic are over. You'll need at least 6 months of intensive rehabilitation, and even then you'll have permanent limitations." Tom lay in the hospital bed, looking at Sarah, who was trying not to cry. "What are we going to do?" he whispered. "How are we going to pay the bills? How are we going to keep the house?" The family's health insurance covered most of the immediate medical costs. But Tom's income was gone. The auto shop's disability insurance only paid 60% of his salary for 3 months, and then nothing. Sarah tried to increase her hours at the school, but as a teacher's aide, there simply weren't more hours available. By August 2019, 5 months after the accident, the Richardson family was drowning in debt. The mortgage payments were 3 months behind. The utility bills were piling up. The medical bills that weren't covered by insurance, co-pays, medications, physical therapy, totaled over $20,000. Tom was making progress in rehabilitation, learning to walk with a cane, but he still couldn't work. Sarah had applied for dozens of jobs, retail, office work, anything that paid more. But in a small town with limited opportunities, finding well-paying work was nearly impossible. She had even started a GoFundMe campaign that raised $3,000 from generous neighbors and friends, but it wasn't enough. In September 2019, the foreclosure notice arrived. The bank had been patient, but patience had its limits. The Richardson family had 45 days to pay the $16,000 in back payments and late fees, or they would lose their home. The house would be auctioned, and they would have to leave. "Where will we go?" asked Emily, who had overheard her parents talking late at night. At 12 years old, she understood enough to be terrified. "Are we going to be homeless?" "No, sweetheart," Sarah said. hugging her daughter while trying to be strong. "We'll figure something out. We always do." But Sarah didn't know how they would figure it out. They had no savings left. They had borrowed from every family member who could help. They had cut every possible expense. And still, they were $16,000 short with 45 days to go. It was Emily who came up with the idea that would change everything, though she didn't know it at the time. Emily was a bright, creative girl who loved music. Her favorite artist was Neil Diamond, the legendary singer-songwriter known for hits like Sweet Caroline, America, and Cracklin' Rosie. Emily's love for Neil Diamond wasn't typical for a 12-year-old in 2019. Most kids her age listened to pop stars and hip-hop artists, but Emily was different. Her grandfather, Tom's father, who had passed away 5 years earlier, had been a huge Neil Diamond fan. He used to play Neil's records every Sunday morning while making pancakes for Emily. "Emily," Grandpa Richardson would say, "Neil Diamond isn't just a singer. He's a storyteller. Every song is a story about real life, real people, real emotions. That's why his music lasts forever." After Grandpa Richardson died, Emily kept the tradition alive. She listened to Neil Diamond every Sunday morning, imagining her grandfather singing along. It made her feel connected to him. One evening in late September, Emily was in her room listening to I Said on her phone when she had an idea. She knew that Neil Diamond had retired from touring in 2018 due to Parkinson's disease, but she had read that he was still active on social media and occasionally responded to fans. "What if I write to him?" Emily thought. "What if I tell him about our family, about what we're going through? Maybe he'll see it, maybe he'll share it. Maybe someone who sees it can help us." Emily knew it was a long shot. Neil Diamond was a legendary artist who had millions of fans. Why would he notice one message from a 12-year-old girl in Pennsylvania? But Emily remembered what her grandfather always said: "You miss 100% of the shots you don't take." That night, Emily sat at her desk and hand-wrote a letter on notebook paper with her best handwriting. "Dear Mr. Diamond, my name is Emily Richardson, and I am 12 years old. I live in Willow Creek, Pennsylvania. I am writing to you because you are my favorite singer and because I need help. My dad was hurt really bad in an accident at work in March. His legs were crushed, and he can't work anymore. My mom works, but she doesn't make enough money. We are going to lose our house in 45 days because we can't pay the bank. I know you probably get millions of letters, and you probably can't help everyone. But I wanted to try anyway because my grandpa always told me that you are a good person who cares about regular people like us. Your music reminds me of my grandpa, who died 5 years ago. Every Sunday we listen to your songs together. Now, when I listen to your music, I feel like he's still with me. Your song, I Said, helps me when I feel sad about everything that's happening. I'm not asking for money, even though we need it. I just wanted you to know that your music helps people through hard times. It helps me. And if you could maybe share our story or just send us a message saying everything will be okay, that would mean the world to me and my family. Thank you for all the beautiful music you've made. Love, Emily Richardson, P.S. My dad's favorite song is Sweet Caroline. He used to sing it to my mom when they were dating. Emily found Neil Diamond's official fan mail address on his website and mailed the letter the next day, using her allowance to buy a stamp. She didn't tell her parents about it because she didn't want to get their hopes up. It was probably pointless anyway. 3 weeks went by. Emily had almost forgotten about the letter when on a crisp October morning there was a knock on the door. A FedEx delivery driver stood there with a large envelope addressed to the Richardson family. Sarah opened the door, confused. They weren't expecting any packages. "Is this the Richardson residence?" asked the driver. "Yes, but I think there's been a mistake. We didn't order anything." "No mistake, ma'am. This is definitely for you. Just sign here." Sarah signed and took the envelope inside. The return address just said, Diamond Management, Los Angeles, CA. Sarah's hands trembled as she opened it. What do you think was inside the envelope? Comment below. Inside was a handwritten letter on official Neil Diamond letterhead, and clipped to it was a certified check. Sarah gasped, her hand going to her mouth. The check was for $25,000. The letter read, Dear Richardson family, I received Emily's letter 3 weeks ago, and I must tell you that it moved me deeply. In my 50-plus years in the music business, I've received countless letters from fans, but few have touched my heart the way Emily's letter did. I was particularly struck by her connection to my music through her grandfather. That's what music is supposed to do. Connect generations, create memories, and provide comfort in difficult times. Knowing that my songs helped Emily feel close to her grandfather and that they're helping her through your family's current struggles reminds me why I've dedicated my life to music. I learned about your situation. Tom's accident, the medical bills, the threat of foreclosure. No family should lose their home because of a workplace accident. No child should have to worry about being homeless because her father was injured while working hard to provide for his family. The enclosed check is for $25,000. Please use it to save your home and to give yourself some breathing room while Tom continues to recover. This is not a loan, it's a gift given freely with no expectation of repayment. Emily, thank you for writing to me. Your courage and love for your family inspired me. Never lose that spirit. Tom, I hope your recovery continues well. Take your time and focus on getting better. Your family needs you healthy, not working too soon. Sarah, you are clearly a strong woman holding your family together. I admire your strength. To the whole Richardson family, Sweet Caroline is now dedicated to you. Whenever you hear it, remember that someone out there cares about you and believes in you. With warmest regards, Neil Diamond. Sarah collapsed into a chair, sobbing. She read the letter 3 times to make sure it was real. The check was real. The signature was real. Neil Diamond, the actual Neil Diamond, had sent them $25,000. Emily, Sarah called upstairs. Emily, come down here right now. Emily came running down, worried by the urgency in her mother's voice. What's wrong, Mom? Did you write a letter to Neil Diamond? Emily's face turned red. Yes. I'm sorry. I know I should have asked, but I didn't want you to get your hopes up because I didn't think he would actually... He responded, Emily. He sent us money. $25,000. Emily's eyes went wide. What? Are you serious? That's not real. Is it real? Sarah showed her the letter and the check. Emily read it again, then burst into tears and hugged her mother. When Tom came home from physical therapy that afternoon, hobbling on his cane, Sarah and Emily were waiting at the door. Tom, Sarah said, her face glowing with joy for the first time in months. Sit down. You need to sit down for this. They told him everything. Tom read the letter 3 times, just like Sarah had. Then he cried, deep, body-shaking sobs of relief and gratitude. For 6 months he had felt like a failure as a husband and father. He couldn't work, couldn't provide, couldn't protect his family from losing their home. But now, through the incredible kindness of a stranger who happened to be a legendary musician, his family was saved. I can't believe this, Tom kept saying. I can't believe this is real. Believe it, Dad, Emily said, hugging him. Mr. Diamond saved our home. The next day, Sarah went to the bank with the check. The teller's eyes widened when she saw the amount and who it was from. Is this real? The teller asked. Call and verify it if you need to, Sarah replied. The teller did. The check was legitimate. Sarah paid off all the back mortgage payments, all the late fees, and still had $9,000 left over. That money went to medical bills and to create a small emergency fund so they would never be in this position again. The Richardson family wanted to thank Neil Diamond personally. They tried calling the management company, but understandably, direct contact with celebrities is carefully controlled. Instead, Emily wrote another letter. "Dear Mr. Diamond, I don't know how to thank you enough. You saved our home. You saved my family. My dad cried when he read your letter, and I've never seen him cry before except when Grandpa died. We paid the bank and we get to keep our house. My room, my bed, my memories, everything stays, and it's all because of you. I promise that when I grow up, I'm going to help people the way you helped us. I don't know how yet, but I'm going to find a way to pay forward the kindness you showed us. Thank you for being a real-life hero. Thank you for caring about regular people like us. And thank you for the music that keeps Grandpa's memory alive in my heart. I will love your music forever. Love, Emily Richardson P.S. We played Sweet Caroline at dinner last night and all sang along. Mom and Dad even danced in the kitchen. It was the happiest I've seen them in months." Neil Diamond's assistant later posted on his official social media, with the Richardson family's permission, about the story, sharing Emily's first letter and explaining how he had helped the family. The post went viral. Within 24 hours, the story was picked up by local news in Pennsylvania. Within 48 hours, national news outlets were covering it. CNN, Fox News, NBC, everyone wanted to interview the Richardson family and talk about Neil Diamond's incredible act of kindness. The story resonated with millions of people around the world. Here was a legendary artist, retired and dealing with his own health challenges from Parkinson's disease, who had taken time to read a letter from a 12-year-old fan and had responded with extraordinary generosity. The comments on social media were overwhelming. This is what celebrities should be doing with their money, helping real people in real need. Neil Diamond was already a legend for his music. Now he's a legend for his heart. That little girl's letter was so pure and honest. I'm crying reading this story. Faith in humanity restored. Thank you, Neil Diamond. But the story doesn't end there. The viral attention brought unexpected blessings to the Richardson family. First, Tom's former employer, feeling pressure from the public story and realizing they could have done more to help, offered Tom a position as a service advisor. It was a desk job that didn't require physical labor. He could schedule appointments, handle customer service, and use his 20 years of mechanical knowledge to help customers without having to work under cars. The pay was actually slightly better than his old job. Second, a local physical therapy clinic offered to provide Tom with free continued therapy for as long as he needed it. No family should have to choose between healing and eating, the clinic's owner said. Third, a wealthy philanthropist in Pennsylvania who had been moved by the story established the Sweet Caroline Fund, a charity specifically designed to help families facing foreclosure due to medical emergencies. The fund started with a $1 million donation from the philanthropist and grew to over $5 million in the first year from donations by people inspired by Emily's story and Neil Diamond's response. The Sweet Caroline Fund has since helped over 200 families avoid foreclosure, keeping them in their homes during their darkest hours. As for Emily, she became something of a celebrity herself. She was invited to speak at schools about courage, perseverance, and the power of asking for help when you need it. She appeared on morning talk shows with her family, sharing their story and thanking Neil Diamond. But the moment that meant the most to Emily came 6 months after she received Neil Diamond's letter. She got an email from his management office inviting the entire Richardson family to Los Angeles for a private meeting with Neil Diamond himself. The meeting happened in February 2020, just before the pandemic. The Richardson family flew to Los Angeles, their first time on an airplane, and met Neil Diamond at his home studio. Neil Diamond, even dealing with Parkinson's disease, was warm, kind, and genuinely interested in the family's story. He spent 2 hours with them, asking about Tom's recovery, about Sarah's work, about Jacob and Sophie, who were starstruck, and especially about Emily. "Emily," Neil said, sitting across from her, "you have something special. At 12 years old, you had the courage to ask for help when your family needed it. That takes strength. Never lose that courage." "Mr. Diamond," Emily replied, "you're the one who's special. You didn't have to help us, but you did. Why?" Neil thought for a moment. "Because I've been blessed beyond measure in my life, and with great blessing comes great responsibility. If I have the ability to help someone and I don't, what kind of person does that make me? You reminded me that behind every fan letter is a real person with real struggles. Thank you for reminding me of that." Before they left, Neil sat at his piano and played Sweet Caroline just for the Richardson family. Sarah and Tom danced, just like they had that night in their kitchen. Emily, Jacob and Sophie sang along, and Neil Diamond, the legendary performer who had played for millions, smiled as he played for an audience of 5. The family flew home with memories they would treasure forever. But more than that, they flew home with hope restored, faith in humanity renewed, and the knowledge that kindness can come from the most unexpected places. Tom continued to improve. By mid-2020, he was walking without a cane and working full-time at his new job. Sarah continued as a teacher's aide, but with less stress, knowing they had financial stability. Emily, Jacob and Sophie grew up in the home they had almost lost, surrounded by love and the knowledge that when things got hard, their sister had been brave enough to ask for help. Emily never forgot what Neil Diamond did for her family. When she graduated high school in 2025, she wrote him another letter. "Dear Mr. Diamond, 6 years ago, you saved my family's home. Today, I graduated high school with honors. I'm going to college in the fall to study social work because I want to help families like mine, families who are struggling and need someone to care. Everything good in my life for the past 6 years has been possible because of what you did. We got to stay in our home. Dad got better. We stayed together as a family, and I learned that asking for help isn't weak, it's brave. And helping others isn't a burden, it's a privilege. Thank you for teaching me these lessons. Thank you for being kind when kindness mattered most. And thank you for the music that still, to this day, reminds me of Grandpa and of the day a legendary singer saved our family. I will never forget you. Love always. Emily Richardson, P.S. I still listen to Sweet Caroline every Sunday morning while making pancakes, just like Grandpa used to do. Some traditions are worth keeping forever." Neil Diamond's response came 2 weeks later. "Dear Emily, congratulations on your graduation and your decision to pursue social work. The world needs more people like you, people who have experienced hardship and want to help others through their own difficult times. Your success is your own achievement. I simply gave you the opportunity to continue on your path. What you did with that opportunity is all you. Go change the world, Emily. I believe in you. And keep making those Sunday pancakes. Your grandfather would be proud. With love and admiration, Neil." Today, Emily Richardson is a social worker in Pennsylvania, helping families navigate medical crises and financial hardships. She often tells her story to the families she works with, not to brag, but to give them hope that solutions can come from unexpected places. Tom Richardson fully recovered and continues to work as a service advisor. He's been promoted twice and now manages the customer service department at his shop. Sarah Richardson went back to school and became a full teacher. She now teaches 5th grade at the same school where Emily once attended. Jacob and Sophie grew up knowing the story of how their sister saved their home and how a famous singer helped their family. They both volunteer with the Sweet Caroline Fund, helping other families in crisis. The Richardson family still lives in the house on Maple Street. The tire swing still hangs in the backyard. Sophie's height markers are still penciled on the kitchen doorframe, and now there are new marks for grandchildren. And every Sunday morning, the Richardson family plays Neil Diamond music while making pancakes together. It's their way of honoring Grandpa Richardson, thanking Neil Diamond, and remembering that kindness and courage can change the world. What did you learn from this story? How can you help someone today? Leave your comments below. And remember, sometimes all it takes is one act of kindness to change everything.